Guess who may be deposed? The Laundries. And I have some updates in the Petito versus Laundrie lawsuit, including their deposition dates and Gabby Petito's parents' response to the answer or the affirmative defenses filed by the Laundries. So we're going to take a look at the actual court documents because you know me, I like to look at the court documents. So please do subscribe. Please support my work by subscribing. Thank you to all of those of you who have subscribed. Thank you for supporting me making these videos. Thank you for joining our community, and welcome to all of those you new subscribers. Welcome to our community of analyzers. Okay, so the Petito versus Laundrie lawsuit, in case you popped onto this channel. So Gabby Petito was allegedly murdered by Brian Laundrie. Brian Laundrie's parents are being sued by Gabby Petito's parents for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Gabby's parents have alleged that Brian's parents withheld information as to where Gabby was, gave them false hope in that statement that they issued, that they hoped that Gabby's parents would be reunited with her, etc. The judge found that that stated a claim for emotional distress, so it survived the motion to dismiss filed by the Laundries. So, Gabby Petito's parents are seeking monetary damages for the emotional distress caused by the Laundries withholding the information or giving them false information about the whereabouts of Gabby Petito. It's a terrible tragedy for both families, for everybody involved. They both lost their children. And now we have a lawsuit where Gabby's parents are suing Brian's parents. And I've done a lot of videos keeping you up to date on this lawsuit. I think it's very interesting. Bringing up a lot of constitutional questions, a lot of other legal questions. So in this video, we're going to look at when the Laundries are scheduled to be deposed. And we're also going to look at Gabby's parents' response to the defenses raised by the Laundries. Okay, so this video again is for education information, simply my opinion. Hit that like button, please do subscribe, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment or question because I want to know what your analysis is. Hit the bell notification and do share these videos. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the court filings to see what's going on in this case. So, and by the way, I just did a video on the Gabby's mother's lawsuit against Brian Laundrie's estate and the deposition for the Laundries as administrators of Brian Laundrie's estate. That's scheduled for tomorrow. So question whether the Laundries are going to show up for that. So take a look at that video. I just posted it. All right. So let's look at what this is. This is a notice of taking deposition. So this was issued by Gabby's parents, Joseph Petito and Nichole Schmidt, to do an oral examination, meaning questioning under oath, a deposition of both of Brian's parents. Okay, so they have to send a notice to tell the Laundries when and where to appear to conduct the deposition. So, notice of taking deposition. So please take notice that the plaintiffs, Joseph Petito and Nichole Schmidt, by and through their counsel, and pursuant to the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, will take the depositions by oral exam. That means Patrick Riley, who's the attorney representing the Petitos and the Schmidt, Gabby's parents, he will be asking questions of Brian Laundrie's father, Christopher Laundrie, and then separately, another deposition asking questions of Roberta Laundrie relating to the underlying claims of emotional distress that Gabby's parents have filed against Brian's parents. So if you take a look at the video I did where I walk you through the lawsuit of the Petito versus Laundrie lawsuit and looking at several of the other videos I've done, you know, what is it that the Gabby's parents allege? You know, what is it? What acts or inactions did the Laundries do that Gabby's parents claim caused the emotional distress that they suffered. Okay. So as part of getting this case ready for trial, the attorney does depositions. They ask questions of the parties, potential witnesses. They could potentially request documents, phone records, all of that. Okay. Text records. So Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie are noticed. They're supposed to show up on October 20th at 10 a.m., starting with Christopher Laundrie's deposition first, and then immediately following that, Roberta Laundrie's deposition. These depositions are being taken for the purpose of discovery or use at trial and for all other purposes as are permitted under the Florida Rules of Civil Procedure. The deposition may continue until completed. So what does that mean? Well, if they don't finish asking questions in the deposition on October 20th, it could continue to the next day or whenever it is the next day that the parties agreed to schedule the ongoing deposition. Okay? So at the deposition, if Christopher Laundrie appears, if Roberta Laundrie appears, they will appear with their attorney. And this may be the time where they assert the Fifth Amendment to say that they're not going to be answering any questions in the deposition because it potentially could incriminate them for potentially possible criminal proceeding against them. I don't know. There could be many. They could say possibly the First Amendment. Who knows? But if they do assert any constitutional defenses or any other privileges, then Patrick Riley, representing the plaintiffs, Gabby's parents, could make a motion for the court for the judge to weigh in and require the Laundries to answer questions in the deposition, or say that no, they have the Fifth Amendment right, so they don't have to give any responses. But here's the tricky point. In Florida, and I'm not a Florida lawyer, I'm a California lawyer. In Florida, apparently, if the defendants assert the Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent because they don't want to give evidence against them that's potentially incriminating, that could lead to a criminal proceeding against them, that can draw a negative inference against them. And say, for example, at the trial, they are called by the plaintiffs, by Gabby's parents, to talk about, did Brian advise them that he had murdered Gabby? Did they know where Gabby was? Did they block Nichole Schmidt from receiving any texts or calls? Did they go on vacation at the Fort Soto Park? What did they know about Gabby's whereabouts and well-being? All of that could be possible topics at the deposition, right? But at trial, the Petitos, Gabby's parents, can call the Laundries to the stand. So the Laundries take the stand, then they're starting to ask questions, and then they start invoking the Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent, which they can do. But if they do, the jury can consider that as an inference against them. They can draw a negative inference, so it doesn't help them. So typically, defendants don't invoke the Fifth Amendment unless they've really thought about it. So we'll see what the strategy is. But at this point, Gabby Petito's parents are moving forward, getting the case prepared for trial. And the first step, one of the first steps, is taking the deposition, asking questions. What did the Laundries know? Did they hear from Brian? What actions did they take? Did they, cause the emotional distress? Did they know that Gabby's parents were under emotional distress? All of that, okay? And if you look at the video I did on the answer, the response that the Laundries made to the lawsuit, that'll fill you in as well, okay? So let's take a look at the responses to basically the answer that was filed by the Laundries, okay? They had to respond to each one of those allegations. So they asserted their affirmative defenses, constitutional right, remain silent, etc. So let's look to see, and this is the response by Roberta Laundrie. I'm sorry, this is Gabby's parents' response to Roberta Laundrie's answer or affirmative defenses to their claim for emotional distress. And Christopher Laundrie also filed separately, responded separately, And so we'll look at the plaintiff's response to Christopher Laundrie's response. Okay? So the plaintiffs, Joseph, Petito, and Nichole Schmidt, by and through their counsel, respond to defendant Laundrie's affirmative defenses. These are the defenses she asserted in her answer, responding to each one of those claims, those allegations that she was required to do to defend herself in this emotional distress lawsuit, okay? So the plaintiffs deny. So the Petito and Schmidts, Gabby's parents, are denying that they failed to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. The judge in the motion to dismiss found that there was enough evidence, enough facts alleged, because he has to assume everything's true, under the four corners of that complaint. So the Gabby's parents are saying that they did state a claim for emotional distress. And they're also, Gabby's parents are denying that the illegality or that the laws, broken or whether they're not broken, which was asserted by the Laundries, they're denying that applies as well. Under paragraph 3, the plaintiffs, Gabby's parents, are also denying the third affirmative defense of non-party fault and proximate cause. So the Laundries alleged in their answer, or responded in their answer, they asserted the defense that a third party, a non-party, is at fault. They're the ones who cause the emotional distress. And if you go look at the video I did on the witness list by the Laundries, they mention the media. Is that the non-party that maybe the Laundries are going to point the finger at and say, no, they're the ones who caused you emotional distress. We didn't cause you the emotional distress. So that's interesting. But in paragraph 3, Gabby's parents are saying they're denying that defense, blaming it on another party or having the other party being the cause, they're denying that applies as well. Okay, paragraph 4, the plaintiffs deny that the fourth affirmative defense applies. They're denying that the Laundries had an absence of intent and malice. In other words, they're saying that even though the Laundries assert that their defense is that we didn't have any malice towards you, we didn't intend to cause any harm, Gabby's parents are claiming that's also not true, okay? And that affirmative defense doesn't apply. Paragraph 5, the plaintiffs deny the fifth affirmative defense, compliance with the law and regulations. They're saying, I guess, that the Laundries didn't comply with the law. Paragraph 6, the plaintiffs are denying that the sixth affirmative defense applies under controlling law, and you can take a look at that prior video I did. Paragraph 7, plaintiffs deny that the seventh affirmative defense applies. They're saying that the Laundries' constitutional rights do not apply to this case, okay? And in paragraph 8, the plaintiffs deny the eighth affirmative defense, mitigation of damages. So the Laundries have asserted that the Gabby's parents have failed to mitigate their damages of emotional distress. Well, the plaintiffs here, Gabby's parents, are responding and saying, no, we didn't fail to mitigate our damages. So therefore, that affirmative defense doesn't apply. So I hope that made sense. As you can see, Gabby's parents are denying all the defenses. They're saying all the defenses that are raised by the Laundries don't apply to this lawsuit, and that they did state a cause of action for emotional distress. So we'll see what happens there, but what's interesting is that deposition that's scheduled for October 20th for both Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie. Do you think they're going to show up? And if they show up, are they going to assert a constitutional right? Fifth Amendment possibly? First Amendment? Attorney-client privilege? I don't know. What are they going to say? Who are they? And if they do answer questions, who are they going to point the finger at for the cause of the emotional distress, the severe emotional distress that Gabby's parents suffered? It's a terrible tragedy. So, please do leave a comment. I want to know what your analysis is. Hit that like button. Please subscribe to this channel. Please support this channel by subscribing. And if you think the content is value to you, please do contribute to me making these videos. I'll put a PayPal link in the description box below the video. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and do subscribe.